All right, it's about that time. Let's talk about the Apple Watch on this episode of Geek with Glasses. Stay tuned. All right, let's get right into this and let's talk Apple Watch. First thing I want to talk about with the Apple Watch is design functionality. There's a lot of information about the design of this watch that actually was not talked about during the keynote, and I think it's really important to discuss it because of, Apple's really taking steps to differentiate themselves from the other smartwatch or wearable tech vendors that are out there with their design element. None of the other companies out there that are putting out wearable tech or smartwatch capabilities are giving you as many options for customizing and wearing this device to suit your own personality or whatever it is that you're doing that day than Apple. To start off with, they're actually going to have two different sizes. They're going to have a 38 millimeter and a 42 millimeter size watch face. So you have one that's a little bit more square and one's a little bit taller, right? So if you've got smaller wrists, you can get that smaller face so that you don't have such a big bulky device on your wrist. Obviously, women are going to be very attracted to that, being able to have something a little bit smaller. The other thing is, they made the announcements, there's 3 different watches. They're all the same functionality, but the 3 different watches basically are different materials that the watch is constructed with. So the Apple Watch is going to be a stainless steel construction. The Apple Watch Sport is going to be a aluminum construction, and then the Apple Watch Edition is actually a 18 karat gold construction. Now, the thing that they failed to mention at the keynote is you can get 2 color options for each of those individual materials. So in the stainless steel, you can get the silver stainless steel, or you can get a black, they call it a space black stainless steel. In the aluminum or the Sport watch, you can get a regular brushed aluminum, which is just like your iMacs and the new iPad if you get the silver, and as well as the phones. Or you can get space gray aluminum, so that's going to match your iPads and your iPhones. And then in the Watch Edition, the Apple Watch Edition version of the material, 18 karat gold, but you can get 18 karat yellow gold or 18 karat rose gold. So they didn't mention any of that during the keynote, and I definitely think that's cool, right? Because depending on what your budget looks for, I'm assuming that the Apple Watch is going to be the $349 starting. Hopefully you can choose one of either of the 2 colors for that price point, and then it'll probably go up. I don't know if I would even venture to say that it'll be $100 more for each of them, but I would say kind of matching their phones, $349, $449, $559. I don't know exactly. But so the other thing is the bands. So they're going to ship out of the box with 6 different unique style bands. However, each of those bands have myriads of colors to choose from. I don't know the exact number, I can't find it anywhere, but you're going to have a link bracelet, a sport band, a leather loop, a classic buckle, a modern buckle, and a Milanese loop. And again, I probably said that wrong, but Milanese loop. So those are the 6 different styles of bands that you can get, but multiple colors. So the cool part is Apple is really, really giving you the ability to customize your watch and have a watch that suits your mood, what you're doing, or your just general personality based on all of these different color options for the faces as well as the bands. And I think it's great. If you're going off to a business meeting or doing something formal, you can get a silver watch, silver link for a men, silver watch and a silver link, or maybe I'm going to go for a workout or a jog, or I'm on a athletic trip, I'm going hiking or whatever. I get the rubber band, the rubber sport band on there, black, white, red, whatever color I want. It really gives you a lot of options, and you can obviously buy any of those bands are interchangeable. Any of the bands will work on any of the faces, so you'll be able to slip them on and off, which I think is really cool. The other thing right out of the gate is they're going to ship with 12 different unique faces to the watch. So you'll have 12 different unique face displays to choose from, and each of those faces have functionality that you get to customize, which I think is great. So it's an infinite amount of capability to customize that watch to look exactly the way you want that watch to look, which is just really, none of the other vendors are doing it. And, leave it to Apple to really take the time to think about design, features, customization, and the appearance of the watch, as well as the functionality. And speaking of functionality, let's talk a little bit about the functionality and some of the features that you get with the watch. If you go out to the website and you actually come in and click on the features, the list goes on and on and on. They've barely mentioned any of them during the keynote of some of the feature sets that the watch has. Obviously, you know, it's going to have some kind of a Wi-Fi, or whether it's going to get its internet connection through your phone via the Bluetooth. Not exactly sure, but you know, it's going to automatically sync with the time servers. You're never going to have the wrong time. You never have to set your watch. You'll have to charge your watch though. You know, from map integration to Siri functionality to apps, just the fact that they're actually going to produce an SDK and have developers out there creating apps for this watch. This watch is not laser focused on doing what it does out of the box only, the way most of the competitive vendors are. This watch is going to have lots of functionality and capability to do just about anything that anybody can dream up, and interact with your iPhone and individual things. You know, it's got all kinds of sensors inside the watch. Fitness is a big thing for my wife and I now. The fact that this thing is actually going to replace 3 different things that I have right now. For $349, I'm going to replace a $100 Fitbit, I'm going to replace a $100 heart rate monitor, and I'm going to replace a watch that was more than $100. That I can use in a single device. And you know, a friend of mine mentioned, well, how do you know it's as good as your Fitbit? How do you know it's as good as your heart rate monitor? Well, I don't. However, I do know that it has the same, if not better, technology built into it than the Fitbit. The Fitbit, literally, it has the ability to it has the ability to detect movement in vertical and or lateral motion, and that's it. This watch is actually going to give me the ability to know the rate of acceleration, the height that I'm at, the amount of you know, my heart rate, which turns into blood pressure. Not blood pressure, I'm sorry. Starting to get a little bit boggled in the mind with so many features that the watch has. But the heart rate monitor is going to give you direct information about how many calories you're burning when you're on a specific workout, which is what the heart rate monitors are all about. Telling you, it detects your heart rate and the amount of exertion that you're putting out, so that tells you how many calories you burn during a specific exercise. All of these things in one device on my wrist, which I think is amazing. And then you got all the other capabilities and some of the features that Apple didn't talk about. You know, there's the cheese factor features, you know, the tapping, the drawing, the little 3D emoji, the heartbeat, sending your heartbeat to somebody else. I don't get it. That I call the Apple Cheese features, right? Apple Watch to Apple Watch capability. But there's one Apple Watch to Apple Watch capability communications feature that they didn't talk about that I think is kind of cool, the walkie-talkie feature. So apparently, and I don't know how it's going to work. Again, they were vague on the technology, whether it's going to use your cell phone's Wi-Fi connection or your cell phone's 3G or LTE connection to create that link between Apple Watch and Apple Watch, or do they have to be within a certain distance using Bluetooth? I don't know, but it would be amazing if it used my phone. Let's say I'm up shopping and doing some grocery shopping. I got my kids with me and my wife's at home, you know, doing some studying or whatever, you know, just getting time away. And I need to ask her a quick question about something she wants me to pick up. Instead of having to pull the phone out, juggle the kids, push the stroller, not stroller, but the shopping cart, make sure the kids aren't breaking things or beating each other up, to take my phone out and text or to call her, I could just hit the, you know, hit the watch and alert her that I want to talk to her, and use the walkie-talkie and say, hey, you know, what brand of you know, chili peppers were you expecting me to get? That type of thing. I think that's awesome. You know, that is a cool cheese factor. Probably won't use it all that often, but it's there, and I think it's cool. The rest of the stuff, I'm never going to use the 3D emoji. I'm never going to use the heartbeat. I have no need whatsoever to ever share my heartbeat with anybody, my wife, friends, anybody. I just think that's Apple cheese factor. But the ability to do all of the fitness tracking, from, you know, tracking the amount of calories I'm burning to the amount of exercise I'm getting, to the simple little things about the sedentary, you know, monitor. They basically, you know, it's pretty much known by the federal government and the Health and Human Services, not Health and Human Services, whoever it is that dictates, you know, being fit, that you should never sit for more than an hour at a time without getting up. So this thing will be able to track that. For every hour that you sit, get up for at least a minute and move around. It reduces all kinds of crazy risks just by doing that. This has all of that built in, and I think that's really cool from a fitness standpoint. You know, being able to get alerts, being able to get text messages and emails. You know, I have a Pebble that a friend of mine let me use, and whenever I'm traveling for work, whenever I'm doing, you know, work-related meetings, I loved having that Pebble to let me know when I was getting emails or text messages. I could quickly glance and see what it is without having to pull my phone out and be disruptive to the meeting or to the conversation that I'm in the middle of doing. And being able to get all of that type of information and choosing what information I want to be bothered with this device is great. I think it's awesome for commuting. any road warriors out there that are driving, obviously, safety first. And if you've got your hand on the steering wheel and your wrist vibrates, you can look, you just twist your wrist and look, glance, and see that you got, a text message saying, hey, no, don't go here, you got to go there, whatever the case may be, is initiating phone calls, initiating Siri. I think it's got a lot of really cool capability. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to buy one of these when they first come out or not. I'd love to. We'll see what the budget allows for when they become available. And I'm going to do a little bit more research to figure out whether this is something that that I can warrant $350 for. But like I said, right off the bat, it replaces 3 items that I already have that don't necessarily work in conjunction, that I have to remember to charge all the time. There's a lot of complaint right now about how long is the battery going to last. Well, I plug my phone in every night. I do it religiously. I have the charging cord. I have a charging cord right next to my bed. This watch charging cord will be right next to my bed as well. And, the fact that I'll be able to use this watch to, give me all of the information and all the alerts, and I forgot what I was trying to say. Oh, the devices, my Fitbit, I have to charge that. You don't charge it all that frequently, but you got to remember to charge that. The heart rate monitors, you got to remember to put new batteries in those. And a watch, you got to replace the battery every now and then. But I already do, part of my nightly routine is I plug my phone in. So plugging in the watch to have that charged up, and then not having to know where my Fitbit is and know where my heart rate monitor is and keep track of all of these things, just put the watch on and go. It's going to be a really cool thing. We'll see whether or not Apple is able to take the wearable technology where they want it to go. So we'll see how innovative the watch actually is, and whether or not it becomes a mass adopted device. And let's see whether or not Apple can really kind of lurch. Yeah, I guess it's lurch. Let's see whether or not Apple can actually, thrust us into the wearable technology time. Is wearable technology a gimmick, or is wearable technology a viable technology? Lots of articles debating it. There's a lot of people that are saying wearable tech is truly not going to have a place in the market until it can completely get rid of your smartphone. Until we can get rid of this and have it all on the watch, we can't truly get rid, it's truly not a viable option. And I disagree. When you take all of these different types of wearable tech and you put them into a single device, I think wearable tech becomes a much more attractive technology and product that I want to use, instead of having to have all of these different things. And I think Apple's headed down the right path right now to making that a reality. A single device that gives you everything that you want. Communications, alerts, information, news, internet connection, phone calls, being able to initiate phone calls, all those types of things, and then all the health stuff, which is what most wearable tech is based after, is health. You got Nike, you've got Fitbit, you've got all these companies that are making, health-related activity trackers, and this thing is actually looking like it's going to deliver on the promise of one device does it all. So we'll see, and I can't wait until the beginning of 2015 when the watches are actually available. $349, early 2015. I'm saying early 2015 means April-May timeframe. That's just my suggestion, unless there's supply issues, which we know happens quite a bit. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is wearable tech something that you're interested in? Do you have a Fitbit? Do you have a heart rate monitor? Do you wear a smartwatch, or a Pebble or a Moto or any type of a smartwatch right now? And if so, what do you think about the Apple Watch? Is if you're not into wearable tech, is the Apple Watch something that is going to pique your interest to the point where you're going to dive into the wearable technology fray and start using the tech? Leave comments below. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, all that other good stuff. Like and comment the video. It helps as always. And I've got some more videos coming up with the, I want to talk about Apple payments, and then I want to talk just in general about Apple as a whole in a new segment that I'm going to be calling The Way I See It. So thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.